last housekeeping thing, just gonna pop the chat out real quick. Cool. All right, well, welcome aboard, everybody who's watching. Just gonna wait for see if anyone else is gonna join up here, and then we'll get underway. This is just something I use for the virtual airline that I'm on. Has no impact on our flight. It's just so I get credit. The virtual airline I fly under is Walker Air Transport. This is our Black Betty livery, which I'm personally absolutely in love with. It looks real slick, I think. Wow, that latency is real good right now. So this baby is a Challenger 300. It is made by Bombardier, and it has a range of around 2,700 miles, realistically. It's advertised higher than that, but in real practice, it's closer to 2,700. It's got a service ceiling of flight level 450, 45,000 feet, 45,000, and it's pretty zippy. It climbs like a rocket ship, and I love it. My general complaints about this jet are the auto throttle is a little finicky, and you do have to break realism a little bit in order to get it to work right, but I have found some tricks that I'll share with you to get it to work right. This plane is available on the X-Plane store, and it is currently on sale today, actually, for $20, but I will not do any plugging for them. But I personally love this jet. Yeah, and we're currently parked over at the East Ramp, and at one of my favorite airports. And yeah, I love John Wayne. It's right to the east, slightly south of LA by about 20 or so miles, and it's a fun little airport. It's big enough to support jets, as well as a lot of GA aircraft on PilotEdge. Speaking of PilotEdge, I should log in real quick, see if there's, because I know there's
connected to PilotEdge
traffic here. There should be. At least there's always traffic here. Or at least there's some. Oh, good. I'm glad some of you guys are joining, and this is going to be fun. I'm very excited to share this with you guys. This is one of my favorite flights over to Las Vegas, where I am in real life based. And so for those of you who are more advanced pilots, it should be a really interesting landing. The winds are a howling today. I think they're forecast up to around 30, 35 miles an hour. So that should be a really interesting landing. Also, on approach, we're going to fly right over the Strip, Lake Mead, and the Hoover Dam as well. So that should be really cool as well if we get the full ILS approach into runway 27, but we'll get into that when I dive into the flight planning. So I'll wait another couple minutes here, and then I'll dive in. And I'm going to show from the ground up, from as basic as I can get to, really digging into the nitty-gritty details. So there should be something for everybody on this stream, and I'm really excited you guys are going to join me for it. So, yeah, a little bit more about this plane, real quick. Just some, not really about the plane so much, but this library is so pretty. Um, it's all grayscaled out for the Black Betty theme. It's really cool. One of the hidden Easter eggs in this plane, because I know that I believe your name is Don. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Um, has this plane. Anyway, one of my favorite Easter eggs is if you come over here, and I might have to have the power on in the plane. Yep, I do. Cool. Let's jump back real quick, and I will turn this back off.
Looking through the I-4 looking for a destination.
Cool. And if at any point the ATC is too loud or the audio mix is bad, let me know. I can adjust that. But now you can hear it if you listen real quietly, carefully. It's playing music. So you just come over here and hit this middle button on any of these, on any of the armrests here. And it will play you music. I thought that was a fun little Easter egg that D-Den, who is the manufacturer of the virtual one of these aircraft, has put in for us. I thought that was just hilarious. Oops, wrong button. All right, so we're going to get started here. So what I like to do is come over here. First and foremost, I go on flightaware.com, and that's just a free website that tracks real life flights as they are in progress, and it's really useful. Specifically, you can get IFR routes that are specific to your aircraft type, as well as your arrival and destination airport. So it's a really good resource, especially if you're going to be using PilotEdge like I am, where they model it after the real world. If you don't file the correct route, they will yell at you. So I like to get my routes from here. So today we're going to be flying out of John Wayne. The airport code for that is Kilo Sierra November Alpha KSNA. And so I'm just going to go over to the departures here, and I'm just going to scroll down the list and look for McCarran International, Las Vegas. There's one. And we are a turbojet aircraft, and this was flown... stop ads, stop. This was flown by a Boeing 737, which is a turbojet aircraft, so this route will work for us. They filed it at 27,000 feet. I'm going to file it at 29,000 feet because I don't know. That's where I like to cruise at. It's going to be about a 270-mile flight. The planned is, oh, I see. So this is flight has already occurred. The actual pilot flew 270 miles. The route was 344. So my guess is they probably got radar vectors in, either for their departure they got a shortcut, or on their arrival. So the route here, we're going to do the Fins 2, Meissen to Kepik 6. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And for PilotEdge, if anyone uses PilotEdge, on their website, so we'll go back here. So this is their homepage, pilotedge.net. If you click File a Flight Plan, it'll take you to this screen. Since we're going to be flying IFR, I'm going to switch that to IFR. Again, I fly under the Walker Air. Stop. I fly under Walker Air, so my call sign is Walker Air, and then my pilot ID number, which is 169er. So I'm Walker Air 169, and that's the call sign that I'll be using on PilotEdge. My aircraft code is CL30, and we are a Slant Lima. The equipment suffix is a representation of the navigational equipment in your aircraft. And you can look that up. It is a section in the Aeronautical Instruction Manual, and it details what these mean. So essentially, and it tells you on PilotEdge. So Slant Lima is GNSS with a transponder capable of Mode C with RSVM. And I am not 100% sure off the top of my head. I really apologize about that, what that means. I know we are a Slant Lima, but I'm going to look it up for you guys real quick. I have my copy of the AIM right here, and I'm going to find it. I hope I bookmarked it. which it does not look like I did. In the discussion afterwards, guys, I will have a link to this, and I will walk you through what that is. It is fairly confusing, I'm not going to lie. It's all navigation equipment stuff, and there are 1,200 pages in the AIM right now, so I'm looking for it real quick. But in the interest of time, I will post that in the discussion afterwards for you guys. So to continue forward, we are a slant Lima aircraft. We're going to be cruising around 470-ish knots, departing out of John Wayne, and that is the ICAO code for John Wayne. Las Vegas McCarran International Airport is KLAS, so we'll go ahead and select that. Enter in our cruising altitude, 29,000 feet, flight level 290, and put our route here. You can see I fly this frequently, and we'll go ahead and submit that. So after I do that, I like to come over to skyvector.com, and I love this website. It's super useful. It gives you a nice visual representation of your flight plan, as well as you can pull up all the charts, which we'll dive into here in a second. We'll brief the departure procedure, and then we'll go in and get the aircraft prepped for boarding. All right, so let's get this set up. We're departing out of John Wayne, going to Las Vegas, McCarran International Airport. And I have a ton of tabs open right now, so sorry about that. Let's get rid of that. And now that we have our route, so I'm going to close this one out too. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and type our route in, which was the FINS 2 departure procedure, Meissen transition, we'll get to what that means in a second, and the Kepik 6 arrival. So this confused me for the longest time. The FINS 2, so this is our departure procedure, which we'll brief in a moment, but I always heard on the radio, climb via SID, climb via SID. What does that mean? SID, what is SID? SID is just an acronym. It means Standard Instrument Departure. Took me so long to figure that out, but it's really just an acronym. So when they say climb via SID, they're telling you to maintain the altitude restrictions given to you on the departure procedure. So I'm going to go ahead and get that in. So this is the route we're going to be flying today. Stop. Oh, that's weird. It's never done that. Okay, so we're going to take off of runway 20 right here. We're going to track down here. I believe this is Stroll or something, or Dolph. Head over here, back out. So we're essentially just going to make a glorified right-hand turn here as we climb out. And then we're going to track over toward Meissen here, which is the transition point. So this is where our departure procedure ends, and we will get into what that visually looks like. Hey, a new comment. Wheels up time probably in about 20 minutes would be my guess to answer your question. The person who just commented on the Facebook post there. So anyway, we're going to be flying out over the dam here, which is right here, coming back over Lake Mead to land at Las Vegas. So let's pull our charts up here. We're over at the east ramp right now, so I just pulled up the airport diagram. I'm going to pull up the FINS 2 departure procedure, go over to McCarran. I know from experience that we're going to probably be landing 26 left. A lot of times the controller will tell you as you approach, like they'll say descend via the Kepik 6 arrival, descend via the Kepik 6 arrival, runway 26 left transition. So that way you'll know what runway you're probably getting assigned. So I just know from experience it's probably going to be 26 left. Oops, we don't need that yet. We need the Kepik 6 RNAV star, which stands for Standard Terminal Arrival, and then our ILS 26 left, and then the airport diagram for McCarran. So we're sitting right about here at McCarran here. and then we're going to head up and back out. We'll taxi via Alpha Lima, and we'll either hold short 20 left or cross and then hold short. So this isn't too interesting. It's a pretty basic airport. This is our departure procedure, though. So this I want to spend a couple minutes talking about. So this is our runway 20 right. So out of here, we are going to climb on a heading of 196 to intercept the 175 course to cross Strel at or below 5,000 feet. So what does that mean? Essentially, you look at the takeoff minimums here. And so on runway 20 right, you have to maintain 320 feet per minute per nautical mile to 560 feet. So as long as we're climbing faster than 320 feet per nautical mile to 560 feet, which is like 200 feet off the ground, we'll be clear of terrain. And we will be safe up to turn to this 175 heading. So at 560 feet, we intercept the 175. So essentially, we're going to switch over to our FMS at that point and track towards Strel. And you can see that visually represented here. We have to cross it at or below, and you can see the line above that 5,000 there. So it's at or below 5,000 feet, turning to Dolph to cross that at or below 8,000 feet. Fins is 10,000, or see how now it's above the line? That means at or above 10,000 feet, which is different. So this means we can be at 3,000 feet crossing Strel, but if we were at 5,500 feet, that would be bad. On this one, if we crossed it at 9,000, which would be under it, that would be bad. So we have to make sure that we get up. So we essentially have to climb 2,000 feet at least in this leg, which is 9 miles. So that's no problem for the Challenger. But that is one of the reasons why this is a turbojet only departure, I believe. Yep, no, turbojet aircraft only. And that's one of the reasons is because it's harder for other aircraft to maintain that rate of climb. This is also just for traffic because we're moving much faster, so it helps route you around the traffic in the Los Angeles area. Another mark that you'll see on here are these speed restrictions. So this is at 280 knots. So we have to cross Cahill, I don't know how to say that, at 280 knots at or above 15,000 feet. Zoom, and at this point, I would suspect our restrictions will be voided by the air traffic controller, but we'll get to that if it happens. And then we're going to track out. So when I was talking about those transition points, these endpoints here are the transitions. So this, you'll fly this whole departure procedure out to your transition point, and then that is what connects you up with the rest of your route. Now, if it's a longer flight, you might be, hooking up with a jetway, a vector airway, or something else that's going to, take you to wherever you have to go. In our case, because this is such a short flight, Meissen is essentially the leg before our arrival anyway. See how it links up here? So on our arrival procedure, this is the Kepik 6. It links up with Meissen here. So ours is a shorter flight. So our SID and our star link together. So there's really not much en route here. But we'll get into that as we get closer, and I will talk more about this as I'm going through it. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to pop those in the chat. Over here, I'll say hello right now. And I will try and get to those. If anyone else who knows what I'm talking about on here who's watching, then you can also chime in as well. Cool. So now let's dive in and actually go through here. I'm going to just fast pre-flight the aircraft. That just takes the chocks off and all of that stuff. Now let's jump in. So we have ground power available here. So this is your electrical here. Lights are over here. You've got your anti-ice here. Your cabin temperature and pressurization. You got your fuel. Oops. You have your FMS right here, your throttle quadrant, and your spoilers, your flaps, your gust lock, all that fun stuff. Igniters are down here for your run switches, are right here for both your engines. The actual starters are right here for that. You have your APU control. APU is auxiliary power unit, and your lights down here. And I have the AviTab plugin installed as well, so I can pull up my maps to see where I am in the aircraft. It also will tell you your frame rate, which I find super useful. But I'm going to hide that real quick. And you do that by pressing Y, but you can also go into your settings, into the keyboard, and bind any of those keys. So you just click in here, make a keystroke, and then it will record it. Cool. So we're going to switch over to ground power here, get the aircraft powered up. We're going to throw our beacon light on, as well as our nav logo light and our wing light. We're going to arm our emergency lights, and we're going to turn this fasten seatbelt sign on. I'm also going to go, I'll jump out so you guys can see it. I am also going to open the door and the baggage compartment and the shades, so that way people can get on our aircraft. Yes, Max, that is me, if you're watching. Alright, so I'm going to squawk VFR in standby mode until we get our clearance. So on this jet, this is, I should walk you guys through this real quick. So this is COM 1, NAV 1. This is your transponder, NAV 2 over here, and COM 2 over here. So primarily what I like to do is I use COM 2 for the ATIS, which is Automated Terminal Information Service, and that is just how you pick up the weather and any instructions at the airport you're at. And then this COM 1 I use for the actual air traffic controller. So since we're talking about it, let's get it all dialed in right now. So at John Wayne, clearance delivery is on 118.0. So I'm going to go ahead and dial that in. You click the green text to flip those. So now whatever's green is active. So now we should start hearing some traffic here shortly if I have that turned on. Which I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and activate COM 1 so you guys can start listening.
For northeast departure.
And I'm going to go ahead and get ground dialed up after that, which is 120.8. Good. And if, again, the audio mix is weird with me talking over the controller that's talking, let me know. I can adjust that. So I'm going to go ahead and get our ATIS, which at John Wayne is 126.0. I'm going to pre-program in Las Vegas, so 132.4. And that's our comm set for the moment.
Cessna 26 Delta Charlie is clear the active at hotel. Request taxi ahead to the East Hangars.
6 Delta Charlie, taxi to parking via Alpha, pass for I-10.
Taxi to parking via Alpha and thanks, 26 Delta Charlie, see ya.
Santa Maria 76 Echo is clear to land 12.
Alright, so since people are boarding our aircraft, I'm going to get our cabin lights on. I'm going to fire the APU up.
Santa Maria Tower, November
So,
503,
another thing I like
Bravo,
to do, if you
Charlie,
click in
holding
this
short
screen
of
here, it'll
runway
bring you,
12
it'll
for
pop
northeast
this window
departure.
out, which you can also find right here in the aircraft. But it pops that window out for you. And this guy lets you control either this screen on the left or this screen on the right. So I'm going to switch it over to the right. And I like to put summary, which gives you your cabin
I can hear you.
pressure info, as well as some electrical and hydraulic info. And I also like to do ECS, which switches so I can see the airflow, so I can control the temperature of the plane. Then I switch over to left and I click flight, which is going to give me my flap settings, ailerons, and rudder information, as well as spoilers.
John Wayne 712 Romeo Alpha,
I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that.
Transponder on.
So now that our APU is fired up, I'm going to switch our net air source to normal. I'm going to open the APU and the cross bleed. So that's going to start some air coming in, and as you can see, our temperature is going to start to climb here in a moment. Yep, there it goes. And I think that that is excessively hot. So I am going to just put it at 21C, which is around 72 degrees, which I think is pretty comfortable.
Santa Maria Ground, Skyhawk 253 Kilo Sierra. At north ramp, request pattern work, taxi with Sierra.
Man, that was pretty solid.
3 kilos, Santa Maria, runway 30, taxi Alpha. I'm sorry, runway 12, taxi via Alpha, cross runway 20.
Wow, that...
Runway 12, taxi via Alpha, cross runway 20, 253 Kilo Sierra.
That's impressive. Good for you. That kid sounds very young, but is very on point with their ATC. Proud of them. Cool. So we've got our air. Everybody's nice and warm now. So next step is I am going to call clearance delivery and get my clearance, which is your IFR clearance, which you need to operate in IFR, essentially. So wish me luck. If you want to copy it down with me, get your craft ready. Craft is clearance, route, altitude, frequency, and transponder. You do it down vertically in a line, and that is an easy way visually to be able to remember what your clearance is, be able to write it quickly and efficiently because they rattle it off very quickly, and then be able to read it back accurately.
On departure, flighting 100. Radar vector San Marcos VOR, and then that's filed. Maintain 5,000. Expect 110.
Hey, Luce, yeah, absolutely.
Departure frequency 120.55.
Absolutely. I can't spell a.
Clear to the John Wayne Airport via flight heading 100. Radar vectors to San Marcos on a file 5,000 initial 110 and 10 departure 120.55 squawk 4173.com 206.
And absolutely, yes. It will 100% be up on my channel. You can watch it as many times as you like. And if there's anything that you would like me to talk about, or while we're going through this, please let me know, and I will try and address that if I know it. I'm still learning too. So.
John Wayne Tower, Skyhawk 8 Kilo Mike holding short, runway 20 right.
Ooh, are you? Holding short 20 right. Where are you, friend?
Right, Kilo Mike,
there he is.
Tower, runway 20 right at Kilo, cleared for takeoff, flighting 230.
Heading 230 for 8 Kilo Mike, cleared for takeoff, runway 20 right.
So I'm going to go and get my clearance now. Oh, no I'm not. Nope. Almost made a mistake there. I have not listened to the ATIS yet, so I cannot do that. So let's go ahead and give the ATIS a listen now. Whoops.
20 left, 20 right. Visual approaches in use. VFR departures contact clearance delivery. Advise on course heading, altitude, and if flight following is requested. Read back all runway assignments and hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact you have information Tango.
Have Tango. I always go through it twice.
ATIS information Tango. 1653 Zulu. Wind 120 at 8. Visibility 10. 1,800 scattered. 2,500 scattered. Ceiling 3,600 broken.
We'll be up through the clouds real quick.
Dew point 11. Altimeter 2992. Arriving and departing runway 20 left. 20 right. Visual approaches in use. VFR departures contact clearance delivery. Advise on course heading, altitude, and if flight following is requested. Read call runway assignments and hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact you have information Tango.
Have Tango. Thank you very much. Alright. That guy should be... Yep, there he is.
Lindbergh delivery, good morning. XL 764 clears to Las Vegas, please.
XL 764, Lindbergh clearance cleared to Las Vegas McCarran Airport. Padres 2 departure, chicken transition as filed. Climb via SID. Departure frequency 119.6, squawk 3542.
He was nice and gave him the departure frequency.
Okay, we're clear to Las Vegas via the Padres 2 departure, check in transition, then as filed. Climb via the SID, departure 119.6, squawk 3542, XL 764.
XL 764, read back correct. Number 8,
Tower
my
Skyline
contact
30
departure.
Charlie, Mr. Brooks.
This might take a minute
Right,
just
Kilo
to
Mike,
get a word in
departure.
edgewise. This is a very
Over
busy
departure,
frequency.
Kilo Mike, be there.
2330, lead contact departure 120.55.
Over to Santa Barbara 12055, Skyline 30 Charlie, good day.
Here we go. John Wayne clearance, Walker 169, IFR to Las Vegas with Tango.
Walker 169, John Wayne clearance, cleared to the Las Vegas McCarran Airport. Fins 2 departure, mice in transition, and then as filed, climb via the SID, accept, maintain 5,000. Departure frequency 128.1, squawk 3344.
Cleared to the McCarran International Airport, fins 2 departure, mice in transition as filed, climb via SID, accept, maintain 5,000. Departure frequency 128.1, squawk 3344, Walker 169.
Walker 169, read back correct.
Booyah.
Similar tower, 91 Victor, it's ready to
So, I will dissect that. So we're cleared.
921 Victor November, San Luis Tower, runway 11, cleared for takeoff on course approved.
I'm so happy I said it right. I wrote the wrong airport down. Whoops. So we are cleared to McCarran International. That is our clearance limit. So we are only cleared to go to McCarran. And how we are cleared to get there is through the fins 2 departure, mice in transition, and then as filed, which the rest of our route is the Pepic 6 arrival, climb via SID, so all of our SID restrictions are in place up to 5,000 feet. So when it's climb via SID except maintain an altitude, that means your SID restrictions are in place up to whatever altitude they say, and then you hold at that altitude and await further clearance. So the top altitude, if you look at the departure procedure here, the top altitude is 17,000 feet. So theoretically, if we had just gotten a climb via SID, we could have climbed to 5,000, up to 8,000, and then all the way up to 17, because the rest of these restrictions here are above restrictions, and they're all below the top altitude, if that makes any sense. So we have to be above these numbers here. And because our top altitude is above those numbers, from here, which would have been our last below restriction, we could have just climbed all the way up to 17,000 feet. However, the controller said, except maintain 5,000. So we have to climb to 5,000 and then stay there and await further clearance. So that's a really important distinction, and it's really subtle in your clearance readback. So it's a really big distinction, though. So that's something to note. He also gave us our departure frequency, so after takeoff, I expect we'll be told to contact departure, which will be on 128.1. So since we're done with clearance, I'm going to switch over to ground, which happens to be the same guy. And now I can put the tower in, which is 126. Oops. Oh boy. 126.8. I'm also going to go ahead and get our squawk code in. So that's what goes in the transponder. That's 3344. And by the way, if you're a more advanced pilot and I am boring you to death by going through all this really basic stuff, I apologize. I will get into some more advanced stuff once we take off. Promise. Alright, so, oops. That was supposed to go to on. So you want to turn your transponder on, especially at Class Charlie and Bravo airspace airports, before you go into a movement area, so that way ATC has eyes on you.
Radios work fine. How do you hear me?
5x5, sir.
Thank you very much.
That is not an answer. If you're ever asked that and they're coming in loud and clear, just say 5x5. Makes you sound better. It's it means something. One is the clarity, and one is the volume, or something like that. And so you can get like 3x5, you can get like 3x1, or I mean, they mean something. I can't remember what they are. Again, I will look that up and post it in our discussion post-flight. Alright, so our altimeter that we got from the ATIS 299er2, and you can see the altimeter right here. I'll go through some of real fast, and then I promise I will get underway here really fast. You have your altitude in MSL, mean sea level, which is what everyone uses. This is how far you are off the ground. So right now we're on the ground, so that's 0. Our airspeed doesn't pick up until we hit 45 knots. Over here, it's kind of hard to see, so I'll zoom in a little bit. You can see our localizer, or any VORs we're tracking, the DME information, which is your distance. We also have our true airspeed. So the wind is at 3 miles an hour right now, which we can see depicted with this arrow here. It's at 3 knots, excuse me, not miles an hour. And so our true airspeed is 3 knots because of that. Our ground speed, however, is 0. And this is the rate you're moving. Oops, stop. This is the rate that you're moving over the ground. Alright, so we have our clearance now. So I'm going to go ahead and prep the get the aircraft ready to depart now. So on departure, we know from our departure procedure, we fly 196 to intercept this up to 560 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and get 196 in our heading bug. You can see the heading bug right here, as well as the heading number, which will change. If I can get that, cool. So that needs to go up to 196. So we're almost at runway heading right now. We're told to climb to 5,000 feet. This is our set altitude, that 0500000000, all the zeros. So you can see I can change that. So we're told to climb to 5,000 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-program our autopilot. So I have heading mode pre-programmed, and I'm also going to change it to flight change, which will allow our plane to hold a speed while we climb. I'm going to set that to 200 knots. And what that will do is adjust the pitch, the vertical speed of our aircraft to maintain that airspeed. So it's a really safe way to climb out, so that way you can't stall. It'll level your plane off long before you ever stall out. So that's a good fail-safe I like to do there. Alright, let's get our nose wheel steering on. We're going to turn our probes on. Left and the right batteries can come on. This guy comes on. Brain fart. We're going to come down here. Hydraulic pumps are going to come on to auto. All 4 of these guys go to auto. Make sure we're going to step outside, walk around the aircraft to make sure that we got all of those covers, which it looks like we did. Excellent. All right, we're going to go ahead and close the main cabin door and the baggage compartment. And I'm not sure, I should check this chat real quick. Perfect. Happy to hear that, buddy. Alright, so we're ready to fire this baby up now. So, let's come down here. We're gonna right engine run. And by the way, I'm just right behind the throttle quadrant here. And we're gonna go ahead and hold this for a second and then let go. Come up here. We'll see this start spooling up. There it goes, positive ignition. We're gonna wait for this to spool up.
Speed 246. Ready for taxi Alpha 2.
That's speed 246, Van Nuys ground, runway 16 right, taxi via Alpha Charlie.
16 right, Alpha Charlie, just speed 246.
Burbank Tower, Skyhawk 7185 Charlie, exited runway 8 at Delta 7, requesting taxi to ramp.
7185 Charlie, taxi to parking via Delta Bravo.
Taxi to parking to Bravo for 85 Charlie, thank you.
Alright, so that's on now, so we can get the right bleed on. We can kill the APU bleed. And we can turn the right, we're on ground power, so that can come off. We're on the APU now, and the right generator is on, so we can turn that off. We can come down here, turn the APU all the way off. And now let's start the left side. Run, and we'll come down here, hold that for a second, let go. See that start to spool up. Positive ignition, left bleed can come on, cross bleed can come off. You want to, in this plane, you want to have a dark cockpit for departure, so you don't want to see any lights here, except for maybe this avail light, if you're still parked at the gate. Cabin lights can come off. Over here, this dial right here are your lights in the cockpit, but it has to be pretty dark out for those to work, but they do work. Alright, let's go through this one more time. Heading is set, correct.
Jet speed 246,
Altitude is set,
runway
correct.
16 right, clear for takeoff.
Autopilot's pre-programmed, our altimeter is set. We have our frequencies are set, our transponder is on. I think we're ready to go, guys. Alright, so I'm going to call up ground and get our taxi clearance here. John Wayne ground, Walker 169's over the east ramp. We're ready to taxi with Tango.
Walker 169, John Wayne ground, runway 20 right, taxi via Alpha Lima, hold short of runway 20 left.
20 right via Alpha Lima, hold short 20 left, Walker 169. Alright, real quick. That's going to be right here. We're going to come out to Alpha, up to Lima, and hold short at the runway. Going to go ahead and set our flaps for first notch for takeoff.
Right downwind to runway 12.
3 kilos Sierra.
This kid I'm super impressed with. Super impressed.
Clear for the option 253 Kilo Sierra.
Really impressed. Like, I feel bad about myself that I don't know more of this kid. Like, you know, when it's your passion, though, that's awesome. So cool to hear, honestly.
Tower Bear 921, victim November 7 miles northwest with Tango, touch and go, followed by south departure.
For 9021, Victor November, Santa Maria Tower, make straight in, runway 12, report 2 mile final.
Straight in 12, we'll go 1 Victor November.
Jet speed 246, contact SoCal departure.
Departure jet speed 246.
And if you're wondering how I'm changing my views super quickly, in the settings, you can go in and set a key to memorize whatever view location you have currently and set that to view 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you go in and configure in the settings, you call up V1 by hitting a different key. So I have it set up, if I hold down Control and hit 1, it will save for view 1. And that way if I hit 1, just the number 1, it will take me to that view. So the difference is the holding Control to set it. But that's easy, how I've done it at least. So if anyone can benefit off of that, that would be good as well.
Roger that for 85 Charlie. So, Skyhawk 7185 Charlie, requesting IFR to Burbank with information, Romeo.
7185 Charlie, clear to the Burbank Airport. On departure, flighting 210, radar vector Seal Beach VOR. And then as filed, obtain 2000. Expect 4,000 in 10 minutes.
Just check the chat
Departure frequency 13, departure frequency 128.1.
And like I said, guys, if there's anything that I'm doing that is confusing or you don't understand, please let me know. I'll go over it. No worries.
10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 128.1 and squawk 1617 for 85 Charlie.
November 85 Charlie, read back correct.
Santa Maria, 1 Victor November, 2 mile final.
For 1 Victor November, you're following a Skyhawk, cover the numbers, runway 12, clear touch and go. On the go right, turn on course approved.
Clear touch and go, and that's like straight out, 1 Victor November.
November approved.
Thanks.
Lindbergh ground, good morning, XL 764, information Bravo, short of Bravo, ready for taxi.
That's the guy who's also going to Las Vegas, so we're going to have some traffic.
Runway 27 via Bravo.
Behind us. We should beat him, in theory. But who knows? Crazy world. So there's Alpha, we're on Alpha. We're coming up on Kilo, so this next left is our turn, and then we'll hold short here. And so for our takeoff clearance, we'll probably be cleared across runway 27, across runway 20 left to take off on 20 right. Alright, so coming up here, I'm going to jump back in. I'm also going to calibrate my joystick real quick because it's giving me some issues with my rudder here. So real quick, I apologize for this. Yeah, you see how it's like messing? It's weird. Cool. There we go. Now it's centered. Alright, so now that we're at the runway, tune up our tower frequency. Let's get departure tuned. I'm 128.1.
25 Bravo Alpha Golf, XLA 12, thanks.
Let's get our lights prepped for departure here. So that's taxi light on, both the landing lights and the strobe light. And I apologize, once we do get in the air here, I will try and talk in as much detail as I have been, but I'm going to be flying and my workload's going to go up, so I will do my best here. We are going to have a discussion after this on the Facebook page, so I can dive into any questions you have there. So let's get off the ground now. I'm just going to make a quick note on a Facebook post.
Runway 12 cleared for the option.
Runway 12 clear for the option, 25 Kilo Sierra.
Right. Almost ready here. Alright, here we go. John Wayne Tower, Walker 169, holding short 20 left at Lima.
Walker 169, John Wayne Tower at Lima, cross runway 20 left, runway 20 right, cleared for takeoff.
At Lima, cross 20 left, runway 20 right, at Lima, cleared for takeoff, Walker 169.
Approaching 20 left.
So exactly what I thought would happen.
Approaching 20 right. On runway 20 right.
Alright guys, Godspeed, here we go. So I'm going to let these spool up to 50. Around 50, a little bit more there.
Lindbergh Tower, good
Alright,
morning.
we're all in the green, here we go.
Short of runway 27, we're ready for departure.
XL 764, Lindbergh Tower, runway 27 cleared for takeoff.
Runway 27 cleared for takeoff, XL 764.
V1, rotate. Positive rate, gear up.
Santa Barbara Tower, good morning.
Remember, we're looking for 500 feet, roughly. So I'm going to go ahead and engage the autopilot here.
XLA 12, Santa Barbara Tower, runway 25, cleared for takeoff.
Very clear to go 25.
And remember, it's going to hold that 200 speed, so we're about to pitch up a bunch
Walker
here.
169, contact departure.
Over to departure, Walker 169. There's that, so let's get our nav source to FMS, switch that over, and then over to departure.
Bravo Charlie, when will I switch to Los Angeles Center?
What? Why?
503 Bravo Charlie, if you were paying attention, I switched to you about 10 minutes ago. At Los Angeles Center 135.5.
Thank you, 503 Bravo Charlie.
And 3 Bravo Charlie, unable to continue for the rating.
I am the worst. I never programmed my FMS. I can't believe I just did that. Do not emulate this. I had to do this so fast. Oh my god. Luckily I know this departure pretty well.
1337, you're told to cross wig at maintain 10,000, correct?
Oh boy. Shoot.
Yeah, and WIG is behind you. You crossed WIG at 12,700. So that plus the other mistake plus the mistake when you were departing there is too much there.
Yeah, I gotta do this fast. Why is this?
Negative. Take it literal. Cross WIG at. Cross that intersection at 10,000.
I am so sorry, you guys. I'm gonna have to restart this flight and cancel. I screwed up. I so apologize to everybody. I will have another stream up here shortly. I can't believe I just did that. I am so sorry. I'm going to disconnect from PilotEdge here before I get in a lot of trouble. I'll have another one up later. I so apologize.